Halo, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Apa kabar nih semuanya? Semoga selalu diberikan kesehatan ya. Perkenalkan, nama kakak Nina selaku penanggung jawab kegiatan TUTEP KILLER kali ini. Nah, kalian tahu nggak sih apa itu TUTEP KILLER? Jadi, TUTEP KILLER adalah kegiatan yang dilaksanakan oleh LITBANG HIMEPA dengan tujuan memberikan pembelajaran dan gambaran mengenai tes TUTEP yang sebenarnya. Di video kali ini, kakak dan teman-teman LITBANG ingin membagikan sedikit ilmu untuk menghadapi TUTEP. Sebelum kita ke tes TUTEP-nya, kita dengerin dulu yuk penjelasan dari Kak Jihan. Sekian dari kakak, simak sampai habis videonya. Selamat menyaksikan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Jihan Islahiyah. I am a third-year student in Faculty of Economic and Business, majoring Economic and Development. I am also the most outstanding student of Tanjung Priok University 2020. First thing first, I'd like to welcome you as a newcomer in Faculty of Economic and Business. Being a college student, there are a lot of things you need to prepare and to learn. One of them is English proficiency. Here in Tanjung Priok University, every student needs to pass TUTEP, or Tanjung Priok University Test of English Proficiency, successfully above 425 as your score. And today, in this video, we are going to point out some certain things that related to TUTEP, which are, the first one is listening comprehension, the second, structure and written expression, and the third is reading comprehension. We are going to explore it one by one. Okay, but before that, each student needs to learn a basic English or basic grammar as TUTEP starter pack. And in this slide, I'm going to tell you what things that we should prepare before we get a TUTEP test. The first one is about we need to prepare our academical grammar. We need to learn about the 16 tenses, noun and pronoun, adjective, verb and adverb, conjunction, preposition, passive voice, infinitive, concord or agreement, and the last one is word order. And for technical things, we should prepare the regulations or rules in the test, concentration, maintaining strategy, and our readiness in the D-Day. So, next, we are moving on to the listening comprehension as the first part of the TUTEP test. This part is consisted of 3 models of questions. The first one is dialogue questions or short conversation. The second is long conversation questions. And the third is talk or speech or lecture questions. Now, we are moving on to the dialogue questions. This kind of questions will be consisted of at least 2 lines of dialogues between men and women, and also 1 questions that are delivered by the narrator. Here are some tips for you to work on this case. The first one, you have to be focused on the second line of the conversation. Usually, the answer or the possible answer is the restatement of this line. The second, you need to have a good attention to the intonation, tone, or pitch of the speaker. Because in an English native speaker, the situation, condition, or feelings about that conversation is being related into the intonation. And the last one is you need to note as many as the word that you can on your head, because maybe it will help you to answer the questions, because possibly the answer is already stated but it is being paraphrased or being influenced by its synonym. The second model of the questions about listening part is long conversation questions. It is usually taking a conversation in academic or non-academic content that 3 until 5 minutes, and it followed by 5 questions. This is kind of challenging to work, but I have some tips for you. The first one is about you need to read and understand quickly about the questions. There are 5 questions, so you need to prepare and you need to learn before. The second, you need to point out the main questions. And the third, you need to leave some detailed information like number, address, the name of friends, or something like that. Instead of that, you need to focus on the main conversation or the main point of this dialogue. Friends, now we are moving on to the last part of listening part or listening section. It is lecture questions. Lectures generally last about 5 minutes and can be a wide variety of topics, including natural science, physics, photography, history, or business and economics. Each lecture will begin with a sentence like this. listen to the following excerpt from a lecture in an introductory photography class or something like that. So please be concentrate because the lecture will sometimes quite long and need to be concentrate. On that questions, you need to know the organization of the lecture. The second, you need to take a look on the signal word. And the third, you need to point out for the conjunctions of the lecture. Then, the ATS or Educational Testing Service that help a test for English proficiency words that signal type of list informations in the phrases below. The first one is opinion. It's sometimes said, I think, it appears that, or it is thought that. And the second is a theory. Sometimes the narrator will say, in theory, blah, 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 blah. And the third is about the inference. Sometimes the speaker or narrator say, therefore, or then. The fourth is about negative signal words. That is, not, or words that begin with an, non, this, or a. And the last one is a fillers. It's a non-essential information like or so it makes it more natural in the lecture. And then, additionally, keep an eye out for conjunction and signal words, like the first one, reasons, or something like because or since, and the second is a result, that maybe sometimes the speaker will say as a result, so, therefore, or consequently. And the third is examples. Sometimes the lecturers or speakers say, for example, such as blah blah blah. The first one is a comparison. Sometimes the speaker will say in contrast or than. The fifth is an opposing idea, like the speakers of the lecture will say on the other hand or however. And the next one is another idea on the lecture that may be expressed by furthermore, moreover, or besides. And then a similar idea that the lecture sometimes can be expressed to it similarly or likewise. And the restatement of information is sometimes being noted as in other words or that is and something like that. And the last one is conclusions. And the speaker to conclude the lecture sometimes will say the word in conclusion or in summary. Now, we are moving on to the structure and written expression. In this part, you have to prepare on the basic grammar, but I have some tips to try while you are taking the test. The first one is you need to find the subject and verb in the sentences. The second, you need to find, if there is not any, take a look on the possible answer that could be subject and verb, and then try to find the agreement. Agreement means the congruency between subject and verb. The fourth, if the question asks for subject, so the answer will be in the form of noun. You could check articles and determiners, and also you can check plurality, noun clauses, or 2 plus infinitive. The fifth, if there are any blank spaces after subject, so probably the answer is in the form of adjective clause or appositive. The sixth tips for you is about if the question is asking for verb, then you have to check subject and verb agreement. Then you could also check the tenses of that word. And the last one, if the object is in the wrong term, so you could check on adjective clauses or appositive. After taking a look on 2 previous model of questions in this test, now we are ready to come to the reading comprehension. This part could be quite challenging and time-consuming, so you need to be fully prepared to take this test. To work on that, these tips and tricks will be much helpful for you. The first one, you need to try to find the main point of the passage by reading the first sentence and the last sentence. The second, you need to adapt skimming and scanning while you are reading this passage. And the third, if you find any difficult words, try to understand the words before and after this word. If you have any difficulties with it, please read the whole sentences and try to find the context of the sentences. And the fourth, don't forget to update your vocabulary by keep reading, learning, and listening to the English content. Now, we are in the end of this course. I wish you enjoy the explanation and I wish you a massive luck on your test. Thank you!
Gimana teman-teman videonya? Semoga bermanfaat ya. Jika ada pertanyaan, silakan komen di kolom komentar di bawah. Semoga tes TUTEP-nya lulus dan sampai ketemu di video selanjutnya.